In the 11th century, the Counts of Flanders and Bouillon emerged at the very forefront of Flemish society. Given Godefroi de Bouillon's Davidic inheritance, through the Merovengians, it was fitting enough that he, a brother of Count Eustace III of Boulogne, should become the designated king of Jerusalem after the First Crusade. This military venture was sparked in 1095 by the Muslim seizure of Jerusalem, and it was particularly inspired by Peter the Hermit, who led an ill-fated peasants' crusade of men, women and children across Europe to regain the Holy Land. The majority did not reach their destination. Thousands were massacred en route by outlaws and wayward soldiers of the Byzantine Empire. In the esoteric tarot cards, the Hermit, an allusion to Peter, is portrayed with a lantern lighting the way. By the time the First Crusade was underway, Godefroi had become its overall commander, and on its eventual success in 1099 he was proclaimed King of Jerusalem. In the event, he preferred not to use the title king, assuming instead the alternative distinction, Guardian of the Sacred Sepulchre. Godefroi de Bouillon died in 1100, soon after his Jerusalem triumph, and was succeeded as king by his younger brother, Baldwin of Boulogne. After 18 years, Baldwin was followed, in 1118, by his cousin, Baldwin II du Bourg. According to the Orthodox accounts, the Knights Templars were founded in that year as the Poor Knights of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. They were said to have been established by a group of 9 French knights, who took vows of poverty, chastity and obedience, and swore to protect the Holy Land. The task of ministering to the pilgrims was actually performed by the Hospitallers of St John of Jerusalem. The separate Knights Templars were a very select and special unit. They had sworn a particular oath of obedience not to the king, nor to their leader, but to the Cistercian abbot, St Bernard de Clairvaux, died 1153. St Bernard was related to the Comte de Champagne and, through him, to Hugues de Payonne. It was St Bernard who rescued Scotland's failing Celtic Church, and rebuilt the Columban monastery on Iona. It was St Bernard who, from 1128, first translated the sacred geometry of King Solomon's masons, and it was St Bernard who preached the Second Crusade at Vézelay to King Louis VII and a congregation of 100,000. At Vézelay stood the great Basilica of St Mary Magdalene, and St Bernard's oath of the Knights Templars required the obedience of Bethany, the castle of Mary and Martha. Grail law was born directly out of this early Templar environment, and the Palsvus portrayed the knights as the wardens of a great and sacred secret. Wolfram's Parzival defined them as the guardians of the Grail family. The 10 Commandments were, and are, written, spoken, discussed and taught. They have never been a secret to anyone, unlike the tables of testimony. These precious tabulations were placed in the self-protecting ark, to be guarded by the Levites. Following the ark's dramatic transportation across Jordan and through Palestine, Joshua and 1 Samuel, it was taken to Zion, Jerusalem, by David. His son, King Solomon, had the temple as a religious order, and Hugues de Payonne became the first Grand Master. As a mark of particular distinction, the Templars were classified as warrior monks, granted the right to wear the white mantles of purity, a privilege not given to any other military group, and obliged to grow their beards to separate them from lesser fraternities in which the knights were clean-shaven. In 1146, the Templars were awarded their famous conventual blood cross by the Cistercian Pope Eugenius III. As distinct from the Templars' cross, red on white, the Hospitallers of St John used a different color scheme, silver on black, in the same design. Their Pilgrims' Hospital in Jerusalem was founded before the Crusades, in about 1050. After the fall of Acre, which ended the Crusades in 1291, the Hospitallers were forced to leave Palestine. They went to Rhodes and Cyprus, adding secular and military ventures to their activities. From 1530 they were established as the Knights of Malta. An offshoot, chartered in 1888, created Britain's St John Ambulance Association, which still uses the same badge. After the Council of Troyes, the Templars' rise to international prominence was remarkably swift. They became engaged in high-level politics and diplomacy throughout the Western world, and were advisors to monarchs and parliaments alike. Just 11 years later, in 1139, Pope Innocent, another Cistercian, granted the Knights international independence from obligation to any authority save himself. Irrespective of kings, cardinals or governments, the order's only superior was the Pope. Even prior to this, however, they were granted vast territories and substantial property across the map from Britain to Palestine. Being so well funded, the Templars established the first international banking network, becoming financiers for the Levant and for practically every throne in Europe. Now let's go to those times. How did they affect everyone this much? Except the not yet revealed things, they revealed some of the knowledge they found in the depths of Solomon Temple area. They found tables of testimony, which is antediluvian knowledge book or called Anunnaki knowledge. The architectural knowledge they obtained was hundred years ahead of their time, and they showed these in churches after they returned from crusades. But this knowledge goes underground after their execution. By reference to the tables of testimony, the cosmic law and its sacred geometry were applied by the Templar Masons to construct the finest holy monuments ever to grace the Christian world. At the northern door of Notre Dame de Chartres, the Gate of the Initiates, a relief carving on a small column depicts the Ark of the Covenant undergoing transportation. The inscription reads: Hic amatitia arca sideris here, things take their course, you are to work through the Ark.